Hey, Casper here. Here is how to punish almost every common opening with a Tennyson Gambit. Number 1, starting with a Zucker opening with the move knight to f3, and then black plays the top played move pawn to d5, and then this is when you surprise them with the move e4, and after they take, you simply go knight g5, counter-attacking the pawn on e4, and then most of the times black will always defend that pawn, after which you can simply go pawn to d3, sacrificing your second pawn temporarily, of course, which you take back with your bishop. And guess what? Right in this position, most of your amateur opponents or unprepared opponents will play the move pawn to h6 in an effort to try and chase your knight away from this square. But guess what? You can simply go knight takes f7, double attacking the queen and the rook on h8. If king takes, you simply go bishop g6 check. And it turns out black's king can't go back to protect the queen. So on the next move, you are simply going to win that free queen like this. And before I move on to the next opening trap, let me show you briefly what most YouTubers don't show you after this. The top played move here is knight c6. Whenever you see this move, thou shalt not take on c7, please. The best you can do here is to give a check, go queen g3 check, and then that's when you take that pawn. Say, what's the difference? Queen takes c7 here, runs into pawn to e5, and it turns out that your queen is trapped. It has no way out. So if anything, never should you admire the c7 pawn. Forget about it. Say, Casper, how do they capture our queen from here? Let's say you go castle short. All that black needs to do is to go knight d5 or something like that, and your queen is dead, just like that. So after black plays knight c6 in this position, instead of taking, you simply go queen d3 check, and they will most likely play bishop f5, blocking the check and also developing a minor piece. And this is when you can go queen g3 check, and after something like king h7 or king f7, whatever, this is when you can simply take on c7. Say, what's the difference? This time, black can't play pawn to e5 to trap your queen. I mean, even if their king was on h7 and then you take the c7 pawn, they can't trap your queen like this because the light squared bishop is no longer on c8 and their king is no longer on g6. So at worst, you could have played queen f7 or simply take the pawn on b7. So that's the difference. Let's move on. Opening number 2 in the French defense. So you begin with e4, then black plays e6, which is the French, and now you go knight to f3 as if you want to play the two knights attack, but in the real sense, you are waiting for black to play pawn to d5, the top played move, after which you simply go pawn to d3, teasing them to take your e4 pawn, after which you go knight g5, once again attacking this. The idea is if they play e takes d3, the top played move, you can now take back with your bishop on d3, and worse off, if they try to harass your knight on g5 once again, the best you can do here is to go queen h5, wanting to mate, and I don't know how many times you will see your opponents playing knight to f6, which is the second most played move in the Lichess database, by the way. You can check. After this, you can simply mate your opponent like this. Bingo. Right, what if they don't fall for this mate in one? In fact, the top played move right in this position is queen f6, after which you can simply go knight takes f7. At worst, you're just attacking that rook, and if they take on f7 with their queen, and now you can go bishop g6 and their queen is dead, just like that. Going back a few moves, instead of queen f6 or knight to f6, if black plays pawn to g6 this time, you can just go ahead and sack your bishop. After pawn takes, you now take back with your queen, and see the top played move in the Lichess database. Once again, king d7. At this point, it doesn't even matter where black's king goes to. Either king e7 or king d7, it doesn't even matter, because at worst, you will get this checkmate. Anyway, back to the initial position of the French after e4, e6, knight to f3, d5, d3, pawn takes, knight g5, pawn takes, and bishop takes. We saw how bad pawn to h6 is. In fact, the top played move here is knight to f6, preventing queen h5 in advance. But against this move, the main equalizing move that I advised even on my main channel is knight c3. And here is how you can remember this position. Just say knight f6 equals knight c3 so that both of your knights can meet on this square. So here you play knight c3. Even if bishop b4 comes pinning your knight, you just go bishop d2. The idea is sooner or later, in case black attacks your knight on g5 with h6, you can simply retreat your g knight back to e4 so that if knight takes, you can simply take back with your other knight, or better with your bishop, so that you still keep your bishop pair. That's if you want. And this shouldn't worry you because you always have bishop f3 and then you continue developing your pieces like nothing happened. Done. Number 3, in the perk defense or in the pierce defense, you begin with e4 and then black plays d6. So what I like doing to surprise my opponents, especially in bullet, blitz, and rapid, is to sacrifice my e-pawn like this. So this will shock most of your opponents, especially those annoying pre-movers in bullet. You will see most of them pre-moving knight to f6, and that's how you're going to win that knight on the second move for free. But that's not the prayer though. We want black to take that e5 pawn so that we can develop our knight with tempo, and you will see most of your opponents playing pawn to e4, trying to gain more central space and just attacking your knight. And this is where you can go knight g5, counter-attacking that pawn. And once again, we see knight to f6, the top played move in the Lichess database, after which you can go pawn to d3. And hey, we are back to the tennis on Gambit yet again, where the top played move is ed, and then you take back with your light squad bishop, and this is where we saw that most players like playing h6 because they are not comfortable with your knight on g5, and this is when you can take on f7 once again. After king takes, remember the move, bishop g6 check, and once again the king can't go back. So on the next move you're going to win the queen for free. And what did I say right in this position when black plays knight c6 attacking your queen? Should you take on c7 or not? I just want to see if you are following. Otherwise, this is how you can play the tennis on Gambit even against the pierce defense or the perk defense, as you like calling it, which is this opening position. So just remember to go e5 and you're going to get the tennis on Gambit at worst. Number 4, in the Scandinavian defense, so you start with e4 and then black responds with d5 because that's the only opening they know. So even after this, you simply go knight to f3, sacrificing your first pawn, right? Which they are going to take in most cases, and then you go knight g5, counter-attacking this pawn. Once again, you will see this move, knight to f6, the top played move by the way, trying to hold on to that pawn, and then you simply go pawn to d3 once again. If they take, you already know what to do after pawn to h6, where you sacrifice your knight, and then after king takes, you win black's queen for free. So let me try to complicate things a little bit. After knight to f6, the top played move, say you go pawn to d3 and black doesn't take. The other move you're going to see them playing is pawn to h6 first before taking the pawn. So what they're telling you is, hey, I know you want to win my queen for free. So this time there's no knight takes f7 because I'm just going to take your knight and you don't have bishop g6 check to win my queen. That's right. But what you do in this position when this happens is just to take on e4. This is no longer a gambit now. It's just the game of chess and you're just having an equal game. But this line will lead to a position where you need to exchange queens. But according to Stockfish, this is very much playable and very much equal. But if you don't want to exchange queens so early in the opening, you can even play knight h3 here. Even though Stockfish doesn't approve, the justification is you want them to damage your pawn structure on the king side temporarily, but by doing so, you just remained with a bishop pair for the end game, which is suffice to continue fighting. Number 5. In the Caro-Kann defense, how do you play the tennis on Gambit against the Caro-Kann? You begin with e4 and then black responds with c6. You know they are about to play d5, so you simply go knight to f3, waiting for this move to come, and then you play pawn to d3. If they take your e4 pawn, this is when you can simply go knight g5 once again, counter-attacking this pawn, and after pawn takes, you simply go bishop takes, and lo, just like that, we are back into the tennis on Gambit, kind of, The position is slightly different though. Once again, pawn to h6 runs into knight takes f7. If king takes, you simply go bishop g6, and you already know the rest of the story. Done. But let's just say black doesn't play h6. What if they play knight to f6? Well, same story. You just sacrifice your knight on f7, double attacking the queen and the rook on h8. Again, if king takes, you simply go bishop g6. Whatever they do, you just win their queen on d8, just like that. Oh, what if they don't play knight to f6 or pawn to h6? Say this time they play the third common move, pawn to e6. Well, first of all, pawn to e6 allows knight takes, so I'm gonna take back my pawn if I want, and that's okay. But what I like doing is to play a series of waiting moves that may lead to a quick checkmate, beginning with the move knight c3. And the idea is if pawn to h6 is played, well, I still have knight takes f7, and even though I'm not gonna mate anytime soon after king takes and bishop g6 check, because of king e7, by the way, at least I can play queen f3, and this is very much playable and okay according to Stockfish. I'm threatening to go like this and, develop my dark squad bishop. If knight to f6 is played, I can simply go bishop f4 and ready to bring in my a rook. By the way, Stockfish already says white is winning. Anyways, and lastly, in the Sicilian defense, how can you feature the Tennyson Gambit against one pawn to c5? Well, I like starting with the Alpine variation, pawn to c3 on the second move, waiting for pawn to d5 anytime soon. By the way, which many top players believe is the anti-Alpine variation, and you're going to see this either on the second move or on the third move. So let's just say black delays a little bit by playing pawn to e6. Well, this is when I go knight to f3, still waiting for this move to come. And by the way, you may also start as follows: pawn to e4, c5, and then you go knight to f3 instead of playing c3 first, so that once black tries to play the Can Sicilian or the so-called French Sicilian, this is when you play c3, the delayed Alpine variation with e6. After this move, or after knight to f3, the top played move in the Lichess database and in the Masters database is pawn to d5. And this is when you play pawn to d3, allowing them to take so that you can simply go knight g5, counterattacking this pawn. The top played move in this position is e takes d3, after which you can simply take back with your bishop, creating an impression as if you are after the h7 pawn, which is why black usually plays knight to f6 to defend that pawn. And then you simply go bishop e3 before castling short. This is a sneaky move, guys, because we are simply giving black one more chance to blunder with the move pawn to h6. Once again, you can just go ahead and sack your knight on f7 like that, double attacking the queen and the rook. If king takes, you simply go bishop g6 once again. And if king takes, you are simply going to win a free queen on d8, just like that. But say, Casper, what if black plays king e7, holding on to the queen, so that if you take, they can take back? Well, that'll be met in two after bishop takes c5, forcing black to play queen d6 only move, after which you met them like this. Bingo. And I have a full video on this Tennyson version of the Alpine, which you can find on my main channel or simply in the link above. Be sure to check it out and subscribe to this channel as well, because this is where I post some of the most interesting short clips of my original videos, featuring other long form exciting videos like this one. Be sure to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe once again. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.